Hey guys, it's Rob here from SR3. I posted up a video earlier today of a coil similar to this, a rope wrapping method that we can use for a bunch of different techniques. And people were baffled; they didn't quite understand how this thing works. And it's a bit weird the first time you see it if you haven't seen one of these things before. It's used around the world for a number of different uses. I've heard of a lot of military guys using it. I used to use it doing wildfire repel operations here in Canada. So it works fairly well in the right circumstances. It works with all different rope diameters. It's a little bit easier with a bigger rope for sure, and sometimes metal rope that's quite stiff it makes it a little bit challenging. But for the most part, it's doable with pretty much anything. So you can use it for taglines if you're on the ground tending a tagline for a litter or a basket or something like that. You can use it as a high line type transfer if you're going to drop down some rope to a boat or something like that. You can actually drop the whole coil and it'll deploy as is. Or you can just use it as a rope wrapping method to basically deploy rope from the coil and leave the coil with you as well. A bunch of different options there. Like I said, when I was rappelling, I used to drop the rope out of the aircraft as a coil, and it would, because of the weight of it, it would deploy quite nicely down to the ground. So lots of different options. The idea is it should be fairly neatly wrapped all the way around. And as you pull rope out, it should just deploy freely. A little bit of tension required, and if you haven't done it right, sometimes these loops can be a little bit tight and cause extra friction, but for the most part it should deploy fairly easily all the way down to nothing. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so I have 70 meters of rope here, and what I'm going to do is find an end to start with and just tie an overhand loop in the end of the rope. That's going to be your starting point. Overhand's good just because it takes up a little less space. So there's my loop to start with there. And all I'm going to do is take the end of that and I'm going to go around my legs. Sitting down is good, find a nice comfy spot. Once, twice, and I'm going to come back for a third time, and I'm going to stop with that loop kind of right in the middle between my legs. Ideally you want to grab the other end of the rope now, the one that's continuing down line here. Get that knot out of there. Bring it around to the top to your starting point, and then you want to kind of cinch it up. So there's about a fist between your two knees. Right. From the rope that's continuing along here, you're going to make a little bite in that, pass it through the loop that you've started with, and you're going to hold that bite there. Now, as you can see here, this is the tail that continues down the rest of the 70 meters of rope. And I'm going to put one hand, my stronger hand, typically my right hand, through the center of the loop that I've made around my legs. And I'm going to grab a hold of that 70 meters of rope. I've got the bite in my other hand, I haven't let go of that. And the motion that you're looking to do is it basically goes backwards and forwards across the loop here. So this is your starting loop. I'm going to grab my 70 meters of rope here. I'm going to pass it through my knees, through the donut if you will, make another bite, and I'm going to pass it through the starting loop. I haven't let go, I've never let go with this hand here. I'm going to pass it back underneath again, make another bite. You can just kind of grab a pinch there, pull tight through the loop. You're always taking a bite of the rope, you pull it back through again the other way, take a bite through the loop, pull tight. Back to the other side, make a bite through the loop, pull tight. You've always got a loop there, and you've got to manage the size of that loop, otherwise it takes you forever. So you just pull all the slack out, and you just want a little bite there. And as you work your way around, the loop just kind of gets cycled around your leg. Never let go of this hand here. So I'm taking a bite, through the original loop, pull tight. Back to the other side, through the original loop, pull tight. Manage that slack. Back to the other side, pull tight. Manage the slack. Back to the other side, pull tight. And if you really get pedantic, you just need to make sure that the wraps are neatly stacked. You don't want them crossing over. You don't want them kind of intermeshing too much, otherwise that causes issues later on when it comes time to deploy the rope. But all you do at that point is, again, I've never let go of this live end of the rope here, and I always just keep a bite of my hands through that working loop. Through, back the other way, pull tight. And all I'm doing, bringing it back underneath, through the loop, pull tight. Back the other way in front, pull tight. And it always alternates front and behind. Slide it down, tighten it all up. The tighter you make this first loop, the better. Like a sewing machine. Push tight. And just keep working your way along. It's kind of slow on the first go over, just because you're not covering a lot of ground. The wraps aren't that big, so it takes a little while to make your way around this first loop here. But I'm just going back and forth. I'd say it's under over every single time, through the loops, and just cinching it up as you go. If you need to stop for any reason, you can keep that loop there, and as long as you're fairly gentle, you can take it off your legs at this point. But you just want to be careful not to go through the same loop on the same side of the rope twice, so you're always alternating backwards and forwards. Once you get back around to the starting point, you just simply keep going. So you go over the top. For the existing one, be nice and careful to make sure that you're not getting stuff tangled up here as you go. Keep it nice and bunched up. That'll actually help it later when it comes time to deploy it. Try and get it nice and neat. And as you get to this point here, simply continue wrapping over the top of what's already there. You don't want to go too tight with the loops. If you're really cinching down between goes, if you put it through and then really pull tight on that loop, it won't deploy as easily. But you don't want to have it slack and get the opportunity for miswraps and things either on deployment. So there's a fine line. You just want them neatly stacked halfway, and on we go. You don't want to go less than that, because as the interior or the inside diameter of this coil starts to increase as the layers build up, you'll actually run out of space between your knees and you won't be able to move freely between them. This one's probably a little bit big, but it's not too bad. I'm just continuing back and forth, cinching it up. You know it's bad when your knees start getting scrunched together because you're running out of time. Slack in the rope. We're getting pretty close here now, I think. And again, it's just a constant process, backwards and forwards. I've never let go of the rope with my right hand. This one here never lets go, and I always keep my left hand through those loops, right? One other thing that you see is with this loop that you're passing through, you don't want to put twists in that. So if I put a twist in it and then put it through, it starts to get miswrapped as well. So you've got to be careful of keeping it nice and flat. And you'll see as the layers start to wrap that it's a certain way that it stacks really nicely, and other ways that it doesn't. Almost done here. So that's just coming around for the end of the third layer now, I believe. And we're probably going to be, basically done here. So once you get to the end, if you want to finish it, all you do is take the tail end of the rope, pass it through the loop, pull tight, and then there's no way that it can come apart. It's all nicely cinched up there. When you're ready to deploy it, don't forget to pull it back through again, and all you're doing is pulling it out, and it will continue to deploy nice and smooth, hopefully.